This video is sponsored by Surfshark. Hello everybody, welcome to Mike's Mike. My name is Audaciously Mike, and today we're talking about an excellent piece of pop culture known as Charlie's Angels. Charlie's Angles, Charlie's shapes. I'm also in Perth right now. Do what you will with that information. That's why I've got this special edition wall behind me. There's a lot of sleigh, like a scary amount. And yeah, I'm wearing Furious 7 merch and a Mission Impossible 2 hat. Like, if you don't get it, that's understandable, to be honest. Furious 7 Extended Edition, own it now on Blu-ray, and not everyone would understand that. In this video, I'm specifically covering Charlie's Angels from 2000 and Charlie's Angels Full Throttle from 2003. Now, of course, this wasn't the first iteration of the Charlie's Angels IP. It started as a crime drama TV series in the late 70s, but I have this condition where I get really scared if I watch a movie or TV show that looks old. So I'm not watching that. You will simply not catch me watching some like Hollywood classic movie because the simple fact of the matter is I will be traumatized. Get the old people off the TV. I'm not watching that. I will also not be talking about the 2019 Charlie's Angels reboot. I didn't love that one, but the soundtrack is honestly so good. And if you disagree, you can choke, obviously. Don't Call Me Angel, Bad to You. These are MMCU classics. Imagine getting Ariana Grande, Lana Del Rey, Miley Cyrus, and Nicki Minaj to make original songs for your movie. That's outrageous. Don't call me stranger. Out of Charlie's Angels 2000 and Full Throttle is a worse movie, but I like it more. So I'm going to cover Charlie's Angels 1 in order to get to Charlie's Angels 2. To be honest, they're both kind of diabolical, but who cares, bitch? There's the door, bitch. They're perfect examples of that late 90s, early 2000s trend where they were just doing shit, just fucking around, you know what I mean? Action movies with atrociously optimistic CGI, 10,000 rom-coms dropping every second business day. They were just doing anything. And that is actually one of my favorite types of movies. I also like how one of the main draw cards here is the cast. They knew that people going to the cinema to watch Drew Barrymore, Cameron Diaz, and Lucy Liu be hot and fight people. Does that sound like something you want? Because that's exactly what you're gonna get. Plot-wise, absolute nightmare. I would say Charlie's Angels 2000 feels like a long music video. Cool outfits, cool people, nonsensical plot, just vibes. That actually kind of makes sense because the guy who directed it, McG, not to be confused with MCG, Melbourne Cricket Ground. The Melbourne Cricket Ground did not direct Charlie's Angels 2000, just clearing that up. McG was a music video director, and this was his first feature film. And this guy's got some pretty beefy music video credits, including Smash Mouth All-Star and The Offspring's Pretty Fly for a White Guy. Apparently, Drew Barrymore was impressed by his music videos and approached him to direct Charlie's Angels, and he wanted to do bigger projects, and voila. I also might be talking shit here, but I think Drew Barrymore did something like bought the rights to Charlie's Angels from the 70s, and then she made a lot of money off that. Now, in terms of why I like Full Throttle more than Charlie's Angels 2000, even though it's worse, I need to first go through the plot of Charlie's Angels 2000. But first things first, I am the realist, because this movie was kind of hard to find, so let me put you on real quick. This video is sponsored by Surfshark. Surfshark is a VPN, a virtual private network, available as an app and a browser extension that allows you to access content from all around the globe, and also protects you when you're browsing online. Are you ready for a very topical and gorgeous and relevant example of how you can use Surfshark? Let's say that you want to watch Charlie's Angels 2000 after hearing me rant about it for the next 20-ish minutes. You go on Netflix and the movie's not on there. Thanks Netflix, now the kids are crying. Now, a country that does have Charlie's Angels on Netflix is Spain. So you can simply use the Surfshark browser extension to change your location to say Madrid, and boom, Charlene's Angles, everyone yassed. If you're already in Spain and can watch Charlie's Angels without a VPN, so you're like, I don't need Surfshark, you need to be serious. Surfshark also protects you when you're browsing. I want you to imagine a sink full of dishwater. You are your hand. The internet is the dishwater, Surfshark is the glove, and there are untold horrors waiting for you at the bottom of the sink, but you're not worried because you're wearing the glove. Surfshark has features such as Clean Web, which helps clear ads, malware, and phishing attempts, and even more cool things like VPN split tunneling. You can also use Surfshark on an unlimited amount of devices, which is very handy because I use it on XCX Tinasawa Barbara Spears, which is my Melbourne PC, and also on Resort, which is my Perth PC. If you want to give Surfshark a try, use my code MikesMike, MIKESMIC, to get 83% off plus 3 3 extra months for free. There's a 30-day money-back guarantee, so you can give it a go risk-free. So make sure you head to the link in the description and use my code MikesMike to get that deal. Thanks again to Surfshark for sponsoring this video. Thanks a lot, Surfshark. Let's get back to it. In all iterations of Charlie's Angels, we have the main characters working as private investigators for the Charles Townsend Agency. It's Charlie, baby. In Charlie's Angels 2000, we're introduced to the Angels as them being established spies, but they're not even in the first scene. Or so we think. We open on a plane, and the camera is traveling through the cabin classes, and the first line of dialogue is one of the flight attendants saying to another attendant, "So I said, look lady, it's not the seats that have gotten smaller, it's your ass that's gotten bigger." That's a bit iconic. But is it as iconic as my Furious 7 Extended Edition Own It Now on Blu-ray t-shirt? No. So the camera pans around and this guy comes out of the toilet and he goes back to his seat in first class and he encounters the same flight attendant who implies that he shouldn't be in first class. He gets back to his seat and he's talking to this sus looking guy who we find out has a bomb strapped to his chest, and they're doing some deal involving diamonds. Shine bright like a diamond. Our main guy looks at the TV screen in the cabin and it's playing TJ Hooker the movie, and he says, "Another movie from an old TV show. Itty. Anyway, he then grabs the bomb guy, opens the door, and jumps out of the plane. I believe that he would probably kill a bunch of people by doing so because they would get sucked out of the plane, but whatever. So he's got the bomb guy and he's diving down, and then Queen of the Universe, Lucy Liu, appears to pull the bomb vest off. I love Lucy Liu. You guys don't get it. You don't get it. She pulls it off. They all land in a boat being driven by Cameron Diaz in a bikini. Right, she slayed. The guy from the plane lands and pulls his face off to reveal Drew Barrymore. Everyone did. So that's how we meet the Angels. And then we get flashbacks about all of them. Except the flashbacks barely add anything. So there's 2 layers of flashback. The first one is when they're young. When we were young. Adele. Natalie has braces and does a driving test sideways. Alex wins an equestrian competition and Dylan is smoking in a bathroom. And then when they've grown up, Natalie is a repeat winner on a game show. Alex is an astronaut and Dylan is a police cadet. Then we get a bunch of clips of them being Charlie's Angels and just, kind of just killing it. Good for her. After the flashbacks, we're back in the current day and the girlies are being called into the office. Drew Barrymore's Dylan is on some cringy guy Chad's boat and she answers the call on her Nokia. Excellent phone, of course. And upon doing some further Googling, I found this random Charlie's Angels / Nokia crossover ad. Cameron Diaz's Natalie is having a dream where she's doing some dance performance thing, and then she wakes up and she's Goofy Sexy Girl. And as Goofy Sexy Girl, she answers the doorbell in her Spider-Man underwear and says, "I signed the release waiver, so you can just feel free to stick things in my slot." Outrageous. Lucy Liu's Alex is in her actor boyfriend James's trailer running lines and baking muffins. And then she drops some bomb diffusion knowledge and he's like, "What the fuck? I thought you were a bikini waxer." And she's like, "Oh, I learned it on the internet." So they all go to Charlie's office and Alex brings the muffins and they're atrocious. We then meet Bosley, played by Bill Murray, and he's sort of like their boss, but not their big boss. He's more like their team manager who reports to big boss Charlie, and they absolutely do not need him. It's 9 a.m. and the call from Charlie comes in.
"Good morning, Angels."
Good morning, Charlie.
Good morning, Angels. Good morning, Charlie. It's time for their next assignment. A brilliant software engineer named Eric Knox has been kidnapped and the voice identification software that his company Knox Technologies made has been stolen. Riddle me this. How do you physically steal a software by kidnapping someone in a car park? Who cares? The woman from the kidnapping footage who was with Eric when he got kidnapped, she turns up to casa Charlie. Her name is Vivian Wood and she's the president of Knox Technologies. Miss Viv is absolutely giving sus vibes, but the real suspect here is Roger Corwin. Vivian tells Charlie and the Angles that Roger owns Red Star Systems, which is the largest communication satellite firm in the world. The story goes that Roger tried to buy out Knox Technologies and Eric Knox said no. So Roger's got a motive. So now the Angels need to get the tea on Roger, and conveniently he gets a weekly massage at Madame Wong's House of Blossoms, which is where we get a scene of Lucy Liu massaging with her feet. The racial stereotyping in this movie is out of this world. Actually, on that, Thandie Newton was originally cast in this movie, but then pulled out for that exact reason. She didn't want to play up to racial stereotypes. Now girls, you know how I feel about unnecessary foot content. Like, oh my God, what the fuck? Rule number 1 of foot content in movies is don't. Rule number 2 is, does there need to be a foot on my screen right now? The answer is almost always no. Like, Alex does this back massage with her feet and then she knocks him out, but she very much could have done that with her hands. At the start of the scene, she literally washes her hands, but then she doesn't use them. So she knocks him out, takes his key, calls Nat and Dylan into the room, and ooh, this is so unnecessary. They use the key to break into his locker and clone his phone and clone his car key. Do you want red or car key? What I'm gonna do, now you've told me you've got kidney failure and you're on dialysis, I'm gonna send you a free bag in the post. Why do I just know these things off the dome? Then they get takeaway with sleigh glasses on while Nat sits in the back NCIS, zoom in enhancing a reflection from a car window in the kidnapping footage. Don't piss me off. Also, Independent Women by Destiny's Child is playing in this scene. Fun fact, Destiny's Child actually recorded that song for this movie. Well, technically, it was the lead single for this movie and also the lead single for their third album, Survivor, and apparently Beyonce's dad submitted it for the movie without her knowing. So Nat enhances the footage and prints what she finds, and they call him the creepy thin man. How can you tell that he's thin? He's literally 50% shoulder in that. From the cloned phone schedule, they know that this Roger Corwin guy is going to a party, so they put their mouth mics in, get snatched, and go to the party as well to get some intel. Now please take a second to note the outfits. We've got strapless gowns with heels.
I was wondering if...
No.
So you're saying
No.
there's no chance
No.
Now Miss Natalie, she's working a different angle, a different Charlie's angle, if you will. She's disguised as catering staff, which is how she meets this guy, Pete, who's bartending, and Pete asks her out. Now why are Bosley and Roger Corwin sumo wrestling? Like, why is that happening? Bum, bum, bum. Alex sees the creepy thin man at the party. At this point, I'm literally so confused as to why they've coined him creepy thin man. Like, yes, he's creepy and he's a man, so go with creepy man. Like, he's not even that thin. He runs off and the Angles chase after him, and we get this sleigh scene of them suddenly in their boss babe outfits while in the stairwell. But this is why I pointed out the dresses and heels at the party, because where the fuck did the jackets and the boots come from? Who cares? The girls chase him out of the building into an alley, and we get an iconic, ridiculous fighting scene. Bitch, I love the fight scenes in this movie and in Full Throttle. There's always some glitchy Rina Sawayama EP type beats happening with some fun martial arts choreography and nonsensical physics. It's like, what more could you want? Anyway, they stomp him and they chase him. He runs off. They lose him, but they find Eric Knox tied to a chair. Creepy Thin Man also rips out some of Dylan's hair and sniffs it. Right. Then we get a further piece of motive reveal, some context. Guys, we love context. Smash that like button if you like context. Knox's technology is software that links audio to the person that said it. So sort of like voice DNA, and Corwin's motivation for stealing it would be that by using it with his satellites, he could turn any cell phone into a homing device. Do we get that? Any questions? No? Cool, moving on. The girlies have a new plan. They need to get more intel. They need some visuals. Honestly, at the end of the day, they need visuals. So they're going to go to the California Speedway where Corwin is hosting an event, and they're going to plant a hidden camera on him. It's an absolutely unnecessary scene and purely just an opportunity for them to serve sexy racetrack visuals. How can they lose if they already chose? Like, that was a reading from Ice Spiculations 420. Alex manages to sneak a hidden camera onto Corwin's briefcase in the boot. In the trunk, I guess. Also, Creepy Thin Man is at the racetrack and he's smelling hair. Okay, sure. Nat gets into another race car and chases him, and they leave the racetrack and he drives into the river. Oh yeah. They also cause a crash during their little chase, and I'm 90% sure the person driving this car would have died. Charlie's Angels don't give a fuck. Now, because of the briefcase camera, they managed to work out the layout of Corwin's company. There's the mainframe just behind that door. There's the door, bitch. I was like, yes, you guys know I love a mainframe. Maybe they can even hack through the power cable. The scene of them explaining the security system, I was like, oh okay, yeah, this is so Ocean's 11. Like, they're probably inspired by that. Babes, this came out 1 year before Ocean's 11. Chicken and the egg. Like, this and the following sequences of them breaking into said vault mainframe thing are pretty standard spy slay classic behavior, involving such behaviors as dressing up as men in suits. But I wanted to point out a few things. The first being the airless antechamber, which is a surveillance monitored clean room. There's only one way to get through undetected: be invisible. So how do they be invisible? Nat wears a white suit in the white room. At first I giggled, and then I yassed, because I was like, that's so efficient. Like, you didn't even need to fuck around with the technology, just put the color of the walls on and you're invisible, babes. The second thing is the actual mainframe room with the pressure sensitive floor. What the fuck is that thing? What the fuck is this Star Wars room? This might be my favorite instance of hacking the mainframe because that is the most ridiculous computer I've ever seen. It's just excellent. You know what else is excellent? Furious 7 Extended Edition. Own it now on Blu-ray. Oh, you want to know how they got the fingerprints and the retinal scans of the directors to get into the room? A racially insensitive dance montage and an eye scanner inside a trombone. Of course, keep up. Now, the scene of Alex distracting the Red Star engineers by dressing up as a corporate dominatrix is actually one of the first and only times that this movie passes the Bechdel test, because we have Alex talking to Melissa McCarthy about something other than a man. So they break into the room, they hack the mainframe, and they now have remote access to Red Star's systems. Miss Vivian Wood wants that access, and they're like, that's sus, lady. Only Bosley has access. Let's not forget that the objective was to see if Red Star stole the Nox tech, and not to let Vivian have full access to Red Star's systems. So now the girls are very suspicious of Vivian, and Dylan goes to Eric's house to do security checks, because I think that Vivian might be plotting something against Eric. She finds this pic of two guys in the army, and Eric says that it's his dad and the guy who turned on him and killed him. And then Dylan and Eric get it on, if you know what I mean, like Natalie goes on a random date with bartender guy Pete to Soul Train, and she dances to I Like Big Butts and I Cannot Lie. Okay, sure. And then some assassin tries to kill her and says that Vivian sent him. Dun, dun, dun. Oh my god, sus lady was well and truly sus. Vivian pays Bosley a visit to seduce him and get that software access. He refuses, so she drugs him. Meanwhile, the creepy thin man kills Roger Corwin. Ooh, what? Like, oh my god? Time and place. And you did it at my birthday dinner. Alex is in her actor boyfriend's trailer preparing a dinner at which she will reveal that she's secretly 1/3 of an elite crime-fighting team backed by an anonymous millionaire. Millionaire? Is that it? I guess those Y2K coins went a lot further than they do now. The girlies are all driving Ferraris and Bentleys, and they have all this outrageous tech just from a millionaire. Anyway, the trailer gets shot up, but she boss babes up to the ceiling and escapes. It's actually very iconic. Nat calls Dylan to say watch out for Vivian, but Miss Viv is in Eric's house. So Dylan spells out enemy on the Scrabble board to warn Eric, and Eric's like, I know. Turns out Eric is the bad guy. Ooh, what? Viv, Eric, and the creepy thin man are all in cahoots. They're killing the angels, but they're not killing Bosley because they want him and his computer. Corwin, Red Star, the kidnapping, it's all a setup. But what does Eric Knox really want? He wants to use his technology with Red Star's satellites to find Charlie, because he thinks that Charlie was the man who defected and killed his dad in the BTS army. Then boom, he shoots at Dylan and she falls out the window wearing just a sheet. This scene is so like, if you're gonna give Drew Barrymore some clothes right now. Also, I don't know about you, but I love a slow-mo. I love a slow-mo, like a bullet in slow-mo. I love it. It's so good. The angels are a little bit in shambles right now, so they rendezvous at the agency to talk, and it blows up. Now the baddies are with Bosley in Spooky Old Tower. Doodle ass water bottles. They're waiting for Charlie to call Bosley so that they can track him. Bosley's mouth mic starts working again, and the angels can hear him coming from a speaker in the rubble. He's trying to tell them where he is, but he doesn't know, but he's like, I can see the ocean. And then the angels can also hear a bird chirping near him. Natalie works out that it's a pygmy nuthatch.
A pygmy nuthatch!
That only lives in Carmel.
Carmel!
They do some sleuthing, they work out where the building is, but they need a boat to get there. Cue the return of random guy Chad. So unserious. Now this next scene shook me to my core. What the fuck? Why? How? What is the relevance? What is the material? How did he do that? And that gun never turns up again. So what was the reason? And then this song starts playing. I thought it was going to be Lil' Kim Black Friday, and I was gobsmacked. But then I was like, wait, this movie would predate that by like 11 years. So it must be Simon Says by Pharoah Monch.
Download confirmed.
Now riddle me this. Why is villain mode Sam Rockwell kinda like... Why is he kinda... Here we have an unnecessary strip scene once the angels get to the beach. McG, stop this madness! Now that they've arrived at the spooky old tower, the angels split up to do their separate tasks. 180 degrees now becomes 60. Times 3. Right. Right. Lucy Liu is climbing to the roof to tap the signal while wearing these super iconic flame pants. Need them, actually. Je m'appelle obsessed. J'obsessed. Anyway, creepy thin man turns up and tries to K-word her, but obviously doesn't succeed because she's Lucy Liu. Hello. Also, while he's like swiping no swiping, sneaking up on her, he's like sniffing some of her hair. And I'm just like, when did you get that? Because you only snatched Dylan's hair. Natalie goes to rescue Bosley and she gets a call from Pete, so she's fighting flops while on the phone. Yeah, it's iconic. Then Viv turns up to 1v1 her, and of course, this lady who's president of Nox Technologies is also a martial arts expert. Dylan, meanwhile, goes to handle Nox and she gets captured very easily. So I just kind of assumed that that was some ploy and thus part of a bigger plan that she's got going on, but apparently not, because she just escapes and that's it. The escape, however, is very iconic, don't get it twisted. One small problem though, she tells them that she's going to mess them up and then she's going to moonwalk out of there, but this is simply not a moonwalk. Charlie doesn't know that anything's wrong, so he calls Bosley for the little 9 a.m. catch up. Eric answers and stalls long enough to track the signal, streams signal by twice. The girlies take down Viv and creepy thin man just as Eric appears in a helicopter and shoots a missile at the building and they jump off. But you know who doesn't jump off because they're tied up in chains? His apparent allies. Like, he really said fuck them angles and fuck you too. Anyway, Bosley rescues them in a jeep of sorts, which apparently Eric can't see, and they chase the helicopter and shoot it with a wire bow and arrow thing. A little bit Katniss end of Catching Fire, like, you know what I mean. They shoot the helicopter with the wire bow and arrow and then they climb up, blah, blah, blah. Alex fucks with the missile while Dylan attacks Eric and Nat disables the flight controls. He shoots the missile and it comes back around and hits the helicopter while the angels dive into the ocean. What goes around, comes all the way back around. Yeah. They crawl out of the ocean onto the beach. It was a little bit like evolution, like prehistoric, like the little ocean creatures like going onto the ground and like growing and shit. That's literally what happened. Like, they go to Charlie's cabin. He's obviously not there. Like, be serious. He's got his little speaker situation going on and he says that Eric got the story wrong. Eric's father was actually a double agent and was killed by the other side. Yeah. That's explosive. And then the end of the movie is the angles on the beach and they're having drinks and they want Charlie to be there. They want to meet Charlie baby, XCX, Charlie. But obviously he can't be there. But then Dylan turns around and sees a Charlie-like figure walking on the beach in the background. Boom, end of the movie, and then we get an excellent end credits montage with bloopers. I love a goofy bloopers credits. Like, that feels so 2000s. One of my favorite things about this movie is how ridiculous and nonsensical it is. There are so many plot holes and I love that. But at the same time, it sometimes feels like it's trying too hard to make sense. It's so over the top and goofy, but then it's always almost trying to be serious. As Nicki Minaj said, pick a side, pick a side. Either make it so ridiculous that everyone can tell that it's pretty much a comedy with iconic sleigh outfits and an iconic cast, or go down the other path and flush out the plot. And this is why I like Full Throttle. Specifically the first 45 minutes of Full Throttle. It is so ridiculous and random. Guys, this movie is so random. They got in that writer's room, saw that the critics were saying that Charlie's Angels was stupid and said, shut the fuck up, I'll show you stupid. Full Throttle starts with the Angles rescuing a captured American general from a tavern in northern Mongolia. Just immediately unserious. Lucy Liu is folded inside a box and yet somehow manages to unscrew 4 screws at the same time without any tools. And what I'm afraid of, what I fear in this situation is that you don't get that. Drew Barrymore is playing some drinking game with the mercenaries and steals the keys to the underground bunker thing where the captured American general is. And then Cameron Diaz walks in wearing this. Guys, this movie's so dumb. I love it. So Natalie distracts the mercenaries by sexually riding a mechanical bull in the tavern in northern Mongolia. Right. While Dylan tries to open the trapdoor to the bunker and Alex rescues Ray Carter, the American marshal guy. While Alex and Dylan are escaping, the mercenaries see them and a fight breaks out. Cue slow-mo with rock music. I'm sorry, you guys, but this is so iconic. And then we have an excellent example of the unseriousness of Full Throttle because Dylan barks, ? Like, what? And then a surprise gun guy turns up and starts shooting at them and they escape by jumping out the window. But behind them were people at the bar and they would have been absolutely shredded by bullets. Anyway, the Angles are running away. They steal an army truck with a chopper on the back of it. A tank fires a missile at them and they fall off the side of a dam. And while falling, they get into the chopper that was on the back of the truck. It's camp, okay? You know what else is camp? Furious 7 Extended Edition, own it now on Blu-ray. Then a random hot shirtless man appears on screen. He gets a call from one of the mercenaries and gives it to a lady lady holding a gun. The mercenary tells her that 3 crazy beautiful girls showed up, but we've got the ring. So obviously this woman with the gun is giving boss lady villain. Also, random hot shirtless man is Hector from Westworld. Then we get another once upon a time, there were 3 very different little girls flashback montage, including Natalie as a mascot with braces growing up to birth a calf. Okay, yeah. Alex as a champion gymnast growing up to be a chess champion, and Dylan as a champion wrestler growing up to be a smash car driver. Like, what? How do these things even correlate? Also, how do they grow up from thing A to thing B? There's literally no age difference. I'm telling you, the people that made this movie don't give a fuck. They don't give a fuck. The next scene is Bruce Willis with hair getting assassinated. It's all connected. Turns out him and rescued American Marshal guy Ray Carter had one of these sus looking rings each, and whoever killed Bruce Willis was after said ring. Then the next scene is the Angles helping Natalie and Pete move into their new house, and then suddenly they're shaking ass to Hammer Time. It literally feels like one of those 2000s parody movies, like Scary Movie or Disaster Movie, but it's parodying its already unserious self. Pete gets a letter in the mail. It's an invite to his 10-year high school reunion. My age detection confusion levels are through the roof right now because my 10-year high school reunion was last year. So technically, I'm older than this character. But then I Googled it, and the actor was 32 when filming Full Throttle, so Hollywood strikes again. At the end of the day, I'm just a 27-year-old teenage boy. Anyway, Dylan's starting to feel a little bit weird because she thinks that Natalie's life is starting to move past the Angels. And then Jason turns up, and it sounds like him and Alex were on a break, but then he's got a new movie coming out and he's invited them all to the premiere. The movie is called Maximum Extreme 2, which is very clearly a parody of Mission Impossible 2. And see, the thing is, I'm wearing official Mission Impossible 2 merch. Like, I know you're mad and jealous. I can feel that. And I hope you get better because, like, you know, jealousy is a disease and all that. Like, then the Angels get called into the office and Pete and Jason are like, oh, it must be Charlie. So I guess between 1 and 2, the Angles told them what they actually do for work. They get to the rebuilt Charles Townsend office and there's a new Bosley, and I'm so confused. It sounds like he's the brother of the previous Bosley, but he doesn't know anything about their logistics or their technology or even what a Bosley does. And they're like, oh, you just connect us with Charlie. Again, they don't need Bosley. Good morning, Angels. Good morning, XCX, Charlie. Blah, blah, blah. They get a video call from a senior director of the FBI. Time to find out what the situation is. Those rings that I mentioned, they contain a list of people in the Federal Witness Protection Program, people who testified against major crime bosses, and when you have both rings, you have access to the list. Ray Carter appears on the video call and he says that he's fine after the Mongolia escape, but you know, he fractured a couple ribs and he also lost the ring. And as we know, the other ring was with Bruce Willis with hair. So now the list is out and someone is contacting crime families to auction the list off. And one of the people on the list, Alan Caulfield, has already wound up dead. So now the Angles are going to the Caulfield crime site to investigate. Time for disguises, and this time not racially inappropriate. Everybody celebrated. My favorite in this set is Cameron Diaz as the CSI team leader. Like, that does not look like her.
We got an 11,350 to boot.
An 11,350, you found an illegal chinchilla ranch.
It's a chinchilla farm.
So they investigate the scene. Alan Caulfield was suffocated and the guy who did it used his credit card to hack the door lock and left some pineapple sex wax behind, so he must be a surfer. And he wore Air Jordans.
A limited promotional version that was sold only at the Foot Locker in Fontana in the summer of 2002.
So ridiculous. I love it. They're all genius level, but then also apparently super goofy, which was actually one of my issues with the first film. But now it feels like they've leaned into it and made it a full comedy. Anyway, random scene of Alex seeing her dad who thinks she works at a hospital and she kisses him on the mouth. Why was that necessary? Like, why? She also says that Natalie and Dylan work with her at said hospital. It's just an unnecessary scene. Then the Angles are at a beach in Malibu trying to find the surfer assassin, and this is playing. This was the first of 2 sampling epiphanies that I had while watching this movie. It sounds like Pump It by the Black Eyed Peas, but this movie predates that song by like 2 years. So that's how I found out that Pump It samples this song from 1962. I put that on my Instagram story because I thought it was interesting and I thought the girls would enjoy it. But then everyone fucking jumped down my throat. How do you not know that? It's from Pulp Fiction. Okay, I haven't seen that movie, so what now? And you know what? That pissed me off. I'm gonna boycott Pulp Fiction because everyone's seen it. Not me, bitch. I'm different. Anyway, on the beach, Natalie meets former Charlie Angel Madison Lee, played by Demi Moore. Demi Moore? Dimmy more, gimme more. I feel like people must have gone feral for that scene in 2003. Like if they had the ability to tweet in 2003, I just know that they'll be tweeting about that.
Only one waxer left. Wait a second. Subpatellar scar, left knee.
Be so fucking serious right now. I need those binoculars for when I go to the Beyonce concert and I'm in row ZZZZZZZZZ, seat 900, 2 kilometers from the stage. Beyonce, please, Beyonce, announce the Australia dates. Some nasty flops on Instagram are suggesting that you're not even going to tour Australia. Announce the Flop Tropica dates, Beyonce. Du Bois are spreading rumors. Now for some extremely unserious scenes. Madison parks her surfboard and drives off in the Rari and leaves her fucking board on the beach. She doesn't give a fuck. Dylan and Alex are talking about how Natalie's probably going to get married and quit, and Dylan has a vision of being the last one at the agency with different angels, which is how we get cameos from Eve and the Olsen twins. Then Natalie distracts the surfer guy while Alex swipes his credit card and Dylan steals a pamphlet from his pants. He then runs them over and they magically disappear and then reappear behind a surfboard. Guys, I'm telling you, this is the best movie ever. They work out from the pineapple sex wax on the credit card that he is the surfer assassin guy, and from the pamphlet they work out that he's going to be at a motocross race called the Coal Bowl trying to kill someone called Leo. So they get to the Coal Bowl, and who's in charge of the motocross race? Pink. Let's give Miss Fuchsia her props because she kind of demolished this outfit. We get another legendary Lucy Liu scene.
Hey, how's it going? It's your first time at the... I was thinking maybe...
I am obsessed with this bike race. Surfer Assassin is K-wording people left and right during the race trying to get to Leo. The angels are after him and they're all still finding time to do tricks in the jumps, and then we get this. You know what I'm going to say. It's the best movie ever. Surfer Assassin is about to shoot Leo, but then Creepy Thin Man from Charlie's Angels 1 appears and stabs him in the chest with a knife in the back of his boot. He dies. Dylan and Creepy Thin Man cross paths in the air and she grabs his necklace and he grabs some of her hair and then fucking slams into this concrete support and apparently doesn't die and escapes. Okay ladies, now let's get information. In the dead Surfer Assassin's pockets, the angels find some K-pop picture cards. First one being the Caulfield guy who was murdered. The second is Leo, who was actually a kid called Max Petroni, played by Shia LaBeouf. And lastly, Helen Zass. Who is Helen Zass, you ask? We find out that Helen Zass was Dylan's real name, and 8 years ago she dated an Irish mob guy named Seamus O'Grady, and she turned him in after he killed someone. He went to prison and she went on witness protection.
Helen Zass?
You must have been the butt of every joke. Did you drive an Aston Martin?
I was giggling, okay? Like I giggled several times. It's funny to me. We see Seamus in prison plotting Helen's demise, and then he's allowed to leave and some lady gives him Dylan's pick and the rings. We're assuming it's the same lady as at the start when the Surfer Assassin guy was talking to the lady with the gun, blah, blah, blah. Seamus is played by Justin Theroux, and that accent that he's trying to do, it gives me pause.
So if I have these, she'll fight me.
I always have a little giggle at bad accents in movies because in this instance was no actual Irish man available. Post Coal Bowl with Miss Fuchsia, the only lead that the angles have is the necklace that Dylan snatched off Creepy Thin Man. Turns out Max has the same necklace and the nuns at his orphanage gave it to him. Also, Max is in the agency's protection now, so Bosley takes him to the safest place in town, his mum's house. The angles go to the orphanage, which for some reason is a fuck off huge estate on an island, and this is playing in the background, which caused audio epiphany number 2. It's giving Gwen Stefani Wind It Up. Turns out Wind It Up samples Julie Andrews' Lonely Goat Herd from The Sound of Music. Roasted again on Instagram.com stories for not immediately knowing that. Guys, I told you, if the movie looks old, I'm not watching that. It's scary. Here we have the angels in nun disguises. The chief nun in charge, the CNIC, she IDs the Creepy Thin Man as an orphan from back in the day who was rescued from the forest after his Romanian circus troupe family died in a fire. Okay. So why is he wearing that fucking pinstripe suit? I don't know. Doesn't feel very Romanian circus troupe. The nun says that the kid didn't talk but went feral during haircuts.
Cut.
What was that, James? He ran off one day, but then in the present day, he's like the sole benefactor of the orphanage. And the angles work out that he was actually protecting Max at the Coal Bowl with Miss Fuchsia, #orphan code. And this sound effect used...
He really is an angel.
Thin Man has been leaving gifts for the nuns, including Surfer Assassin's car, which Natalie notices has bird poo on it, and she smells it and works out that it belongs to a California girl from the San Pedro harbor. So now the angles are welding in the harbor, doing recon and sending pictures to Bosley. Now you know damn well that no phone camera from fucking 2003 is taking clear photos of a document from across a dock. Then the Charlie Angles are dancing to the Pink Panther theme song in a strip club while stealing a document and forklift keys from one of the mob guys. Because of course course they are. Then they use these materials to get Bosley to deliver this thing onto the mob ship, which dun dun dun, they were hiding inside. Why are they naked? It's so stupid. Then they're suddenly in action clothes. Like, bye. Anyway, they're on the ship to find the rings, which they do thanks to champagne. But Seamus turns up and they all start battling, blah, blah, blah. Pretty standard. What I want to highlight here is the power going out and the angels doing Morse code on each other's hands with no follow-up. What was said? Were you transferring plan details? But there was simply not enough taps for that, I'm afraid. So again, what was said. Anyway, the angles get the rings and they get out and we get this. What in the Subway Surfer temple run, guys? I yassed so hard. Also, as they're escaping, Seamus tells Dylan that he's going to kill her friends. Right. Random scene that reveals Bosley's family adopted Bosley from Charlie's Angels 2000. Then we get Pete's high school reunion with a random dance scene. Is it a flash mob or a hallucination or what? Because of Seamus's threats, Dylan decides to leave the Charlie, Caroline, Chris new shapes to protect the other girlies. US Marshal guy Ray Carter turns up to take the recovered rings, and Bosley throws him his car keys and he grabs them, and the angels are like, uh-oh, didn't he just say he had fractured ribs? Hold on, he must be the bad guy and faked getting captured so that he could get the other ring since he already had one, and he set up Seamus as a distraction. But the angels need proof. So Alex does this laying down skateboard thing to get close enough to his car so that they can tap into his calls. Right. He calls his boss lady, confirms that he has the rings. My end of the deal is done, call the buyers. Meanwhile, Dylan goes to a bar in Mexico, and talks to a potentially hallucinated Charlie Angel Kelly Garrett from the original series, Alex and Nat follow Ray Carter to the Griffith Observatory where he meets his accomplice who kills him. The thingy spins around, dun 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 dun, evil boss lady is Madison Lee. OMG. But I feel like the most pressing question here is, why was she even up there? She slayed the dismount though, like why lie? Apparently her motivation for being a psycho felon is, why be an angel when I can play God? Okay. Whatever that means. Surprise, surprise, Dylan's 60-second departure era is over and she tries to do a sneak attack on Demi, but she's like, ill no. The angels are like, aha, we knew it was you because who else would have contacts in Mongolia? And also, we know you like astrology and you referred to Max as Leo. Sure, that's all well and good, but how did Dylan know to go to the Griffith Observatory? Who cares? Anyway, she shoots all of them and they fall like this, but they land like this. But fret not, viewer, they were all wearing Kevlar. The angels are just kind of like pressed as fuck. This ex-angel's gone like fully rogue and she's still like really super good at martial arts. They're like, she's pretty good for her age. Madison goes to the Townsend office to chat shit with Charlie and he's like, there must be some good left in you. I was never good. I was great. And then she shoots the Charlie speaker with this sideways pistol grip situation, which is honestly such a terrible way of holding a gun from just a recoil perspective, but who cares? It looks cute. The angles work out that Madison is plotting to sell the ring list of witnesses down in Hollywood that night. Conveniently the same night as the Maximum Extreme 2 premiere. Like, what is she even doing? Good for her. So Madison goes to meet the crime families on the roof of a hotel, but it turns out Charlize's angles have pulled a fast one on her and tricked the crime families into going to a different rooftop where they all get arrested, and then they go and intercept Sister Madison on the first roof. The only crime squad that didn't fall for their little plan was Seamus et al, who stormed the rooftop, and then everyone's fucking battling, and we even get a surprise guest star appearance from the creepy Thin Man, but he's not there to fight them. He saves Dylan, and then they kiss, and then they sniff each other's hair, and then Seamus kills him. Like, why are you standing like that? Little Gollum man. Dylan kicks glass into Seamus's eyes and he falls to his death. Demi Moore, gimme more, suddenly has squirrel wings and says the premiere should be a blast. And she jumps off the building to throw a bomb at all the innocent people at the premiere. Why is this rando lady now just suddenly a full-on domestic terrorist? Anyway, Bosley hits the bomb away and it's all fine. The Charlie Angles chase after Madison and apparently survive this to end up in another 3v1 with Madison where she falls to her death into an inferno beneath a theater. Also, Natalie pulls a piece of glass out of her side and then 10 minutes later she's suddenly suited up for the premiere down the road. The end of the movie is them at the Maximum Extreme 2 premiere. Pete gets down on one knee and proposes to Natalie that they get a puppy. And then we get bloopers credits and everyone yassed. So there we go. That's Charlie's Angels Full Throttle. Overall, pretty extremely terrible. but also iconic, especially that first 45 minutes. The random Mongolia scenes, the surfer assassin, the BMX scenes, the terrible CGI, the atrocious dialogue. But you know what? Overall, it's super fun, and we got some great cameos as well. In all honesty, it just feels so 2000s. And that's my overall summary here. These movies feel so big budget 2000s. Other takeaway from this, I love Lucy Liu. That's the end of my Charlie Angle discussion. So if you enjoyed it, feel free to leave me a like, leave me a comment even. And if you're not subscribed, hit that subscribe button. Yeah. Thank you all for watching, and I'll talk to you all soon. Goodbye, angels. Goodbye, Charlie.